What's a game that took you a long time to get into, but you ended up loving? Oh, we were just talking about that like an hour ago. Somebody asked if Trails in the Sky was overrated, so that's my answer. You know, Trails in the Sky is definitely a game that at the beginning I was like, hey, this is okay at best. And then I just kept playing, and eventually very slowly started growing on me until I ended up loving it. So Trails in the Sky is the best answer I can give you. Suikoden 5 is the same, but actually I was a big fan of the series before I played it, so it kind of doesn't count. What else? I guess Wild Arms? The first one, because I played the fifth one first and I fell in love with it immediately. So when I played the first game I was like, okay, this is different, right? But Wild Arms 1 is also a game that's not like a masterpiece or anything, but near the end you're like, you appreciate it more. Definitely. Yeah, but Trails in the Sky is like always my answer to that question. Like a game at the beginning was like, meh, it's okay at best, and at the end you're like, oh, I love it. And there you go. But you need to play the second chapter to really fall in love with it. This is Breath of Fire 3, huh? Well, guess what? Breath of Fire 4 is another one of those games. At the beginning I was like, man, it's not great. It's definitely not great. I love the pixel art. I love the style. The combat is fantastic, but man, Breath of Fire 4 felt kind of generic for me at the beginning, but there's something to it, some magic, some mystique to it, and if you keep playing it, you end up loving it. Breath of Fire 4 is another one of those games. Well, okay, I completely forgot about the perfect example that I've been mentioning since forever. Valkyria Profile 2. I hated the bastard at first. I was like, oh my gosh, shouldn't have bought this game, it's horrible, fuck this game. And eventually I had nothing to play one day, and I had beaten all other games that I own in my collection. I was like, man, okay, I'm gonna go back to it, and you know the story, you know the rest. Became my second favorite video game of all time. So yeah, Valkyrie Profile 2. Much better answer than Trails in the Sky. Wild Arms versus Breath of Fire. Which is better for you? I think I'm a slightly bigger fan of Wild Arms. Wild Arms is a series where I've beaten every game except Crossfire on the PSP because it was bad. It's a bad game in my opinion. But the 5 main titles, I beat them and I really like them. There isn't a single one that's kind of bad. No. 4 is considered as the worst in the series, but it's still good. I liked it, I finished it, and yes, it's the worst out of the 5. It's the worst, but I still liked it. 5 is my favorite Wild Arms. I really like that game. 2 is a close second. Really enjoy the heck out of it. 3 has one of my favorite female protagonists of all time, which is Virginia Maxwell. Really enjoy that character. And then there's Breath of Fire. I beat the first one, and I really liked it, but I don't think I'll ever beat it again. It's so outdated and kind of a chore to play nowadays. 2 was a massive disappointment. I tried my hardest, and you guys know that. My hardest trying to get into it, and I failed miserably. You know, I put like 10, 12 hours into it until I freaking quit. And no, man, great music, great story, whatever, you know, but it's just the gameplay killed it for me. The encounter rate, the backtracking, oh man. And then 3 was great, but there are bigger fans of the game out there than me. I like the game, I really like the game, Breath of Fire 3, but I never finished it. I never went back to it for I don't know why. I have to go back to that game one day. 4 is my favorite in the series. Great game, phenomenal, almost a masterpiece in my opinion. I was just saying that at the beginning was kind of slow and kind of meh, but at the end I was like, man, this game is fantastic. And 5 was a huge disappointment. Terrible, not terrible, but it's a bit of a bad game. I didn't like it. It was just very convoluted and very different from the series. It feels like somebody else did it, like a fan of the games did it, trying to be different. I don't know. And 6 is fucking garbage. So we have 2 series. Wild Arms has better games in my opinion, and Breath of Fire is like it's like a mixed bag. Half of the games are great, the other half is kind of bad. So winner for me personally, Wild Arms. Speaking of Valkyrie Profile 2, did you ever beat the Ethereal Queen? Yeah, only once. And it took me about 2 hours to beat. Wow, what a battle. I died a million times. And that's the hardest boss I've ever beaten in my entire life, man. What a bitch. I beat her again in Radiata Stories. Haha, fucking bitch. For only once. On a second playthrough, I remember getting all the way to the Ethereal Queen in Radiata Stories and I couldn't defeat her this second time. And in Valkyrie 2, I don't think I ever bothered a second time. I only beat the Seraphic Gate once, completely, Ethereal Queen included. Damn, man. What a nasty boss. Would you recommend Wild Arms 1 or Alter Code F for beginners of the series? I recommend 1. It aged well. Yeah, the remake, I never finished it. I only played it for a couple of hours. I like those couple of hours, but I don't have a strong opinion on it. I can't say if it's good for beginners or not. I don't know if the remake is harder or easier or more balanced. I have no idea. But the original PS1 version, it's pretty balanced. You may need a bit of grinding here and there, but nothing. You're not gonna go out of your way. Yeah, it's a good game for beginners, definitely. You know, long-running series, JRPG series that are obscure, that most people haven't heard of. Grow Lancer, maybe? Yeah, you Grow Lancer, but it's not that obscure anymore, I think. But maybe, yeah, Grow Lancer, but there's only like 6 games. They all take place in the same universe. But, speaking about Grow Lancer, This is the music from Grow Lancer 3. I don't know. Yeah, good question, man. Dot Hack is not that obscure, in my opinion. Most JRPGs that were obscure in the 2000s are now well known. Yeah, well known is relatively speaking. I think a lot of people don't know Grow Lancer or even Wild Arms, but yeah, among us RP gamers, yeah, we all know those series, right? Grow Lancer is still more obscure. That could be the answer Brian was looking for. What are some that only have a few entries, but the lore is incredibly deep? Oh wow! Grow Lancer, man. Play Grow Lancer. There's 6 games, but you can only play 4 because Grow Lancer 1 and 6. Well, the first one isn't fan translated. 6 is fan translated, so you can play 2 through 6 if you want to. Great lore, great world building, but they're more about the battle systems and the routes and endings you get. But they're definitely recommended, man. Those are some really solid games. Obviously, what are your top 5 anime series? Number 1 is Ergo Proxy. It's been for the past 20 years or so, and I don't think it's ever gonna change. That's my favorite anime series of all time. But the other 4, Claymore definitely a second place. Claymore, love the heck out of Claymore. Oh man, the rest, Psychopaths. But the original, the first 2 seasons, the third seasons with the new guys, the new characters was kind of boring. I never finished it. I was like, what the hell did you do with this series, man? No. But the first 2 seasons are freaking gold. Psychopaths. Damn. Vinland Saga. Oh man, I'm a big fan. Big fan of Vinland Saga. Could be a number 4. Definitely. Vinland Saga, man. Jesus. And it's not over yet, it's still going. Number 5. Oof. Randomly I'm gonna pick Babylon. Anybody watched Babylon? That's a weird series, kinda slow at the beginning, but at the end your mind has been completely fucked up beyond belief. You're like, what the hell? Oh my god, right? Babylon. Not everybody will be able to get into it, but yeah, definitely Babylon. Yeah, that seems like an okay top 5 for now. But There's like 10 million honorable mentions, like Berserk, for example. Great freaking series, big fan. Rose and Maiden, believe it or not. I'm a big Rose and Maiden fan. Absolutely. Oh, man. High Score Girl. High Score Girl. Oh, man, I'm a big fan. I love that series. Too bad it's pretty much over. Oh, man. What else? Ajin was pretty damn good, but we haven't seen a new season in 10,000 years. That's a Netflix exclusive, I think. But Ajin was pretty good. Steins Gate. Yeah, pretty good too. Monster, I hated the ending, man. The ending ruined the entire anime for me. But it's great nonetheless. I mean, the journey before... The anime before the ending is great, in my opinion. Oh, man, yeah. Elfen Lied. I loved Lucy. Elfen Lied, definitely. Great anime series. I don't think it was just the Persona series that catapulted SMT to God tier. They helped the series a hell of a lot, that's true. But I think the SMT games by themselves got some serious fame. Especially thanks to all of those YouTubers. There's a lot of YouTube channels that are like dedicated to Shin Megami Tensei. And their videos get a lot of fucking views, man. I don't know why. I haven't watched their videos, man, but they get a lot of views. So imagine the awareness. And those videos and those YouTubers have been there for years, man. I remember there was this one guy, forget the name of the channel. I didn't watch the video, but it was a video saying that Shin Megami Tensei 4 was a masterpiece, right? And last time I saw, last time it appeared on my feed, it had like over 500,000 views, and I was like, that's insane. So 500,000 viewers know Shin Megami Tensei 4, right? So I think influencers and reviewers, or pretty much the internet, catapulted SMT to popularity, to the popularity that it has nowadays. It wasn't just Persona. Persona helped a lot, that's undeniable. But SMT, you gotta give the series some credit, man. It's pretty damn beloved nowadays. And there's there's a million like deep hours-long analysis of some of the games, with massive amounts of views, and of course that helped a lot. Yeah, I think SMT was a niche franchise maybe 20 years ago, but I think it's been very popular since the 3DS titles. Well, maybe a little bit more. It's been enjoying some good popularity and fame for the past at least 5-6 years, I'd say. Maybe more. Where the fuck is Valkyria Chronicles 5? Yeah, I was wondering the same thing back then. I think we discussed that in a Q&A not too old. Kind of recently. That Sega... It just seems that, I mean, Valkyria Chronicles 4 was released in 2018. At the end of it. So it's only been 5 years. But 5 years is 5 years. I mean, people are starting to wonder what's going on in there. I'm starting to wonder. I'm worried. Because years ago, people were saying, oh, Valkyria Chronicles is dead. Nah, give it some years. You know, it's Sega. They're gonna take some time. They need time, you know. But it's February of 2024. We know nothing. It seems like the series is heading into that direction. But then again, Star Ocean went through the same. Star Ocean 5 came out in 2016, if I'm not mistaken. Years went by and everybody was wondering what's going on, is the series dead, blah blah blah, and then 6 was miraculously released in 2022. So after 6 years it came back, right? So I'm starting to get worried about Valkyria Chronicles 5, but I wouldn't worry that much. Although, ask me the same question at the end of this year, and if there's nothing, then I'm gonna be very worried. Like, I don't know why. I mean, Valkyria Chronicles 4 was successful, was commercially successful. It wasn't as critically acclaimed as the first game, but it was critically acclaimed. I mean, it was well received, let's leave it at that. It sold 2 million copies worldwide, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that enough to merit as a 5th game in the series? Or if not, at least bring over the 3rd game. That's a masterpiece. We need Valkyria Chronicles 3, damn it. That's the only game in the series we've never got. and that's the best one? Why is it still exclusive to Japan? I mean, this series, Valkyria Chronicles, the entire series have sold millions of copies, millions. So what's up, Sega? So I'm jumping to conclusions. I still believe Valkyria Chronicles 5 will be released one day. Maybe this year we'll hear something. Fingers crossed. But if the year ends and no news, then I'm gonna start to worry seriously. JCS says, I played Grand Blue demo, the Grand Blue demo the other day, and I thought that the boss was one of those with a lot of HP. Well, there's other bosses in there with more HP than the story boss, and all it took to beat it was button mashing. Are all of the boss fights in the game like this? No. Well, yeah, most of the time all it takes is button mashing, but you gotta dodge and guard a lot because it starts getting more and more challenging as you progress. And you just can't win by button mashing. You gotta plan your moves, when to move away from the enemy, because when they go into overdrive mode, I mean, they start spamming, during the first, I don't know, minute of their overdrive, they start spamming massive area of effect attacks and nasty, really nasty attacks. Late in the game, they start one-shooting you, man. And the post-game, forget it, man. You get there in the middle of an overdrive, is a one-shot kill for sure. Don't worry, it gets better. You can't just button mash your way through a game like Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. It's too fucking challenging. It's like God Eater. Have you played the God Eater games? They're the same. You refight the same bosses over and over again. It's a boss game. And if you think you're just gonna win by button mashing, you're sorely mistaken. It depends. A lot of things depend on the game. One thing I didn't mention in the review is that the bosses have elemental strengths and weaknesses. Well, actually, I think I did mention that, but I didn't go deep into that. Didn't explain it very well, because I thought it was like, oh man, it's a feature a lot of JRPGs have, so yeah, elemental strengths and weaknesses, classic JRPG trope. But this one, I mean, you get these sigils, which are accessories that you can equip, and you can equip some that are like resistant to ice or to fire, stuff like that, so you need to consider that too. So, yeah, good question, man, and no, the answer is no. It's not a button mashing game. You will button mash your controller a lot, that's true, but you can't just win by just button mashing. It's impossible. I'd love to do that. No, man. Does Eternal Poison have a strong narrative? Yes. Is it dark? Yes, it is. And it's a very strong narrative because you get to see it from different points of view. There's different protagonists, each with their own party, and then some of their parties clash with the other parties, with the other protagonists, you know, and then, yeah, man, and some pretty dark as hell stuff happens in there. Some characters, you're like, man, what the fuck is going on here? How isn't this mature rated, right? Yeah, strong narrative, man, pretty damn good. PlayStation 2 JRPGs have been going down in price recently. I've seen some drops. Suikoden 5, for example, the last time I saw it on eBay was $70. $70 when it used to be 150 bucks. Suikoden 5, and now you can buy it off on eBay for $70 US dollars. I mean, they're starting to go down in price. I wouldn't say the market is crashing, but a lot of interest in retro collecting has been lost, and I think video game sellers and scalpers too have been struggling over the past couple of years selling some games, which is why we are starting to see a small drop in some prices. Suikoden 2 came down in price. During the pandemic, it went up to $400, man. And I think last time I checked it out, it was like $220. $200. Wow. Went down like almost 50% in just a few years. So yeah, hopefully the prices will keep on dropping, so people like some of you and me can go back to retro collecting, because I quit retro collecting some years ago. I gave up. I was like, fuck this, I'm not paying these outrageous prices for hell no, man. But when you see like the big guns like Suikoden 5 going down, some of the big guns, okay, others unfortunately keep going up, like Persona 1 on PS1 or Xenosaga 3. It's crazy expensive yet. But yeah, we've seen some of the not too big guns, not the really, really big ones, no. But wait a minute, like Hunting Ground, I remember it went up to $500. and I think it went down to $300 and something. So yeah, it's different, right? I mean, still fucking crazy. $350, it's ridiculous. But going back to my Suikoden 5 example, I mean, from 150 to 70, that's more than half. So yeah. And I was just saying that Mana Khemia 2 used to be freaking expensive, especially the limited edition went up to $200 during COVID-19. I remember that, and I was fucked up because I really wanted to own that game. I owned the special edition back in the day, but I sold it like an idiot for $40, and I always regret that. But I've seen that very same special edition go down to $100, a little bit less, maybe $90, which is insane. So maybe the regular game is what nowadays, like 70, 80. Hopefully they will keep going down. I'd love to own some of those retro RPGs that I'm missing in my collection. Some of those I used to own them, and some of those I never did. But yeah, Mana Khemia I wanted to definitely need a remaster by NIS America. I just don't understand that. Why remaster or port some of their old series like Rhapsody, Lapocel Tactics, Makai Kingdom, like Soul Nomad, you know, great, thank you for bringing those hidden gems back. But why not release the big series, you know, at the Atelier Games? I mean, they're gonna sell way more than the than Soul Nomad and Phantom Brave.